Hello, here is a little study of a certain combination of some colors that I use for several things, but mostly as one of the main ways is achieving really dark colors. That's true for most of them. This one in the middle, you'll see that's a little different. But first one I'm going to start out is with my Daniel Smith Quinacridone Burnt Orange. So like so many of the swatch studies that you may have seen on my YouTube channel of video art tutorial fun, it's nothing that fancy, but I am a couple things. I'm trying. Well, first, I haven't truly drawn in my swatches. Just sort of sketched in a grid guide. And the other thing that's a little bit different is that I'm trying some different paper here. I'm trying good old Arches 140-pound cold press from the pad. So there's some Quinn Burnt Orange, and just so you know what sequence I'm going to go in, I'm going to be, I had fun playing with all sorts of different sequences. It's going to be Quinn Burnt Orange. This is the sequence I ended up liking the most. Burnt Orange, and then I'm going to go to Dioxazine Purple, and then a Cobalt Teal, and then a Phthalo Green blue shade, and then Indigo. But that seemed the nicest combination to me out of all these that I've just sort of playing with. Anyways, let's see. So next would be the Dioxazine Purple, and the Dioxazine Purple is by M. Graham, and this is easily my favorite. I've used several, including Daniel Smith and Winsor & Newton and others. But I have found that the M. Graham seems to be the most saturated and exciting purple even after it's dried, which is not true of all dioxazine purples. So I'm doing my watery first wash. I usually like using 300-pound paper just because I can soak that much more watercolor paint into it, get that much more intense of a color, that much wider range of values. But I'm going with this. So let's see. Next is going to be, it's going to be Cobalt Teal, and once again, this is, I've used many brands, and some I like in certain situations, but I do feel like the one I consistently like is, again, by M. Graham. just a really, it's a very unique color. Different brands actually are different pigments depending on, well, that's sort of true about a lot of things, a lot of colors. But cobalt teal in particular seems a little bit unique in that sometimes it's one pigment that several manufacturers choose to use, and then sometimes it's a different one. I know that's not very specific, but there's all sorts of great resources out there for learning pigment information. And it can be granulating as well, but the M-gram is typically not as granulating as some others. Next I'm going to go with Phthalo Green Blue shade, and this is a Daniel Smith, and this is one that has been one of my favorite go-to Phthalo Green Blue shade colors. The paper is, it does come as there, I'm pretty sure they're in just in the pad form in just natural white, and usually I use Arch's bright white. I just think it's nice to have that much more potential range for values, from as light as possible to as dark as possible. And since I typically use the white of the paper as my whitest white, that's a good way to go, I think. And then finally I'm gonna go with another dark. It won't start off dark, but it's just Indigo by Daniel Smith. And yes, that's in camera. All right. Every paper really accepts paint a little bit different, so well, there's certainly aspects of it that you can say that one is definitely a better quality than another. Eventually, if it's a artist quality 100% cotton paper, it can be just kind of personal choice. One more. And there's cost. 300-pound paper is quite a bit more expensive than 140-pound. But I typically do use the 300-pound. Cool. I'll dry that and come back and do a second round.